Well, Iran says it's reopened the Strait of Hormuz, but insists the United States must end its naval blockade for it to remain open. Its closure by Iran has choked global energy supplies for weeks now. President Donald Trump insists the blockade on Iranian vessels and ports will remain and will be only lifted the moment a peace deal is reached. In the past few hours, he says there has been, quote, some pretty good news regarding Iran, but added that he may not extend the ceasefire unless there's a deal by Wednesday. Listen.
We're going to be knowing very shortly, but we're talking over. I expect things to go well. Many of these things have been negotiated and agreed to.
Sir, what was the good news that you had 20 minutes ago?
Having to do with Iran.
Can you tell us anything about?
No, but you'll hear about it. But I just think it's something that should happen. It's something that only makes sense to happen. And I think it will. We'll see what happens, but I think it will.
Have you agreed to sanctions
earlier that everything has been agreed to?
No, we have not.
No, none.
You told me earlier that everything has been agreed to. Iran was saying something different. So what has been worked out?
Well, he's got to say something different because, you know, they have people that they have to cater to also. I really don't. I'm just doing the thing that's right. I'm just saying it like it is. And we have a situation, I think, that is going to be very beneficial. And the main thing is that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
Well, Iran's chief negotiator, the Speaker of Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, says the U.S. blockade renders the strait closed. He says ships can only pass through a designated route and with Iran's authorization. There have also been mixed messages regarding the future of the more than 400 kilograms of Iran's enriched nuclear material. Trump declared that the U.S. will get it, but Iran has rejected that idea outright. Washington and Tehran could be heading for a second round of talks, possibly within the coming days. Trump claims the deal is mostly complete, but an Iranian source has told Al Jazeera that negotiations are still at a very early stage, and the next step will be agreeing on a framework for negotiations, not a final agreement. All right, let's take a closer look at the post by Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. That's the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament and, of course, a key player in the negotiations with the United States. So this is what he posted on X. He wrote, the President of the United States made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which were false. They didn't win the war with these lies, and they will certainly not get anywhere in negotiations either. With the continuation of the blockade, the Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. Passage through the strait will be conducted based on the designated route and with Iranian authorization. Whether the strait is open or closed and the regulations governing it will be determined by the field, not by social media. All right, let's bring in Tohid Asadi, who joins us now from Tehran. So Tohid, help us understand the status of the strait right now, because on the one hand, you have Donald Trump saying that it is open. You have the Speaker there saying that it's closed if the blockade remains in place. You have other voices inside Iran saying, look, it's open for some vessels if they get the permission, if they go through the route. Is the strait open or closed, and for whom is it open?
Well, actually, we have to keep in mind that we're dealing with a very complex situation, not only when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, but also when it comes to the entirety of the negotiations ahead. And we know that related to the Strait of Hormuz, there are other actors and factors. So this is not just simply opening or closing the strait. We know that Iranians are using it as a sort of pressure point, as a sort of leverage when it comes to the trajectory of diplomatic engagement down the road, while we are potentially expecting a next round of talks. Iran previously said that opening of the Strait of Hormuz is going to be conditioned upon the ceasefire in the Lebanon, and obviously we've got it from the foreign minister of the country, Abbas Araghchi, talking about the reopening of that. Still, we know that reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is a very controversial issue. We know that several arguments, several sticking points, again interrelated, are out there. Iranians, and according to the X post on the Abbas Araghchi's account, are talking about opening the Strait of Hormuz to commercial vessels. Previously, they said that it's going to be open for everyone, but not our adversaries. Right now, we are waiting to see whether Iranians are going to give a green light to ships and vessels affiliated with the Americans or other parties affiliated with the United States, and that is obviously a crucial point. Added to that, that also, speaking of to whom it's open and to whom it's closed. We've got it after the announcement of Abbas Araghchi that it's from a military source talking to the state TV, saying that this is not going to be open for vessels, for non-civilian vessels. It's going to be closed to actually military ships and vessels. Also, we know that Abbas Araghchi is saying it's going to be open for the remaining days of ceasefire, and we already know that there are a couple of, I would say, around 4 days remaining to the end of ceasefire. So in these 4 days, we are waiting to see whether they can go through the diplomatic engagement. And obviously, Iran is talking about coordinated routes, and that is something that we heard both from foreign minister and military side of the story. They're saying that ships planning to go through this strategically significant choke point should go first with the coordination of the Iranian side, and second within the pathway that Iran has announced. And that is something that the other day we heard from IRGC too, depicting a new pathway which is quite close to Iranian coasts.
So, Tohid, the president said not long ago aboard Air Force One, he said, with respect to the ceasefire, he said, maybe I won't extend it, so you have a blockade, and unfortunately, we have to start dropping bombs again. I think it's going to happen. Is there appetite inside of Iran to extend that ceasefire?
Well, we heard from the deputy foreign minister before the announcement of the actually opening of the Strait of Hormuz by the foreign minister that Iran is not interested in extension of the ceasefire. They're willing basically on the basis of solving the issues within a comprehensive package. And again, this is very unprecedented because previously, we know that all the talks between the United States and Iran were all concentrated upon the nuclear dossier. And now we have a full package of different demands. And if you just compare the proposal by the Iranians with that of the Americans, you can see that the sticking points are out there, not only related to the Strait of Hormuz, but also when it comes to the nuclear dossier of the country, when it comes to the security assurances that Iran is looking for. And on that, Tehran says it doesn't want to be trapped in a vicious circle of war, peace, and again war. They're looking for a long-lasting peace and guarantees to make sure that this is going to happen. Also, when it comes to the frozen assets, when it comes to ballistic missiles, when it comes to war reparation, when it comes to Iran's regional relations, all these are some layers of complexity added to this already intricate situation. And added to that also is two actually contextual elements that we have to keep in mind. First, there is this lack of trust, whether it's going to be a deal at the end of the day through the trajectory of negotiation or not. And that's coming from obviously 2 rounds of talks that Iranians were engaged. So instead of becoming too pessimistic or too optimistic, Iranians are practicing a cautiously calibrated pragmatism in that regard. They are not sure whether this time again there is going to be some element of surprise, or negotiation could at the end of the day result in a sort of peace agreement, a long-lasting one. And last but not least, we are dealing with a simultaneous parallel rhetoric of war and confrontation from all the parties, including the United States, the Israeli side, and the Iranian side. The same day they announced the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, IRGC came out with another statement saying that there is a full preparation for another round of confrontation should negotiations fail.
Everybody hoping for a deal, but of course, both sides making very clear they are still prepared to go back to war. All right, Tohid Asadi for us there in Tehran. Thank you.